Hi, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of Are the Game over here at Cabbit Crossing. And this is where we combine our experiences in role-playing games and share some tips, some tricks, maybe do a little debating, whatever we feel like, really. And today we're dealing with a topic that Greg came up with. And Greg, what is your brain baby for today's episode?
My brain baby is something that I've been... as a player, I might do a little too much, is flirting in TTRPGs in general. Usually it's flirting between a player and an NPC, which means the GM by proxy, right?
Yeah.
And what we think about that...
excuse me. Oh, sorry, I don't know where that came from.
Yeah. Oh my God, yeah. Roll to seduce.
Something in my throat there.
Yeah. Yeah, and how to deal with that. Because you don't want to go full into it, obviously, for obvious reasons. Especially if your GM's a dude and you're not gay, it gets a little uncomfortable if you take it to a certain point, right?
Well, you never go full into it, Greg.
Yeah, you never go full flirting.
Yeah.
But so I'm curious what you guys...
back for jokes.
I'm curious how you all handle that. Because I definitely know where I kind of draw the line, or at least the fade to black and stuff like that. But where do you all handle it?
Well,
how do you all handle it?
Well, apparently, your line is very far out there based upon actual empirical evidence.
He's talking about my previous YouTube channel.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I have a lot of experience with this, very, very topic for a number of reasons. One of which was my wife joining the campaign, decided that her character was going to hook up with different characters, and
in the same campaign.
How did that make you feel?
Well, that's the thing. Actually, is in her mind, and I didn't know this until the very end. In her mind, it was like this character that her character hooked up with was in her mind was her stand-in for me, which had never even crossed my mind the whole time. I just like, okay, well, yeah, this just makes sense. Your character's like this. That's cool.
So those 5 characters she flirted with were all you.
Well, there was one in particular. So she had her character have this relationship with... It was interesting because this NPC, I was actually debating about whether not to make him villainous. And then when my wife's like, ooh, he's yummy kind of thing, it's like, okay, well, I guess that changes that trajectory, But the one that was really defining moment was we were playing the Magic the Gathering content for 5e, and I was playing a merfolk, and my wife I don't even remember what character she wanted to play, but she decided she was going to flirt with me in the game, and I'm just exactly like. This is before we were married. And immediately I go, oh, gross. You want me to squirt on your eggs? So that really brought the room down a little bit. So,
yeah.
I've
had the same issue with my wife, but it's less about her flirting with the NPCs and more of her just like outright trying to grab them and chase them away or something, like grab them and take them away or something. I don't know. She plays a different game than the rest of us.
Yeah. Well,
she played a barbarian.
Yeah. I think it depends upon who you have at the table and kind of like how the story's developing. Cause like if you can, if this experience can be used as a way to build the storyline and get people engaged. Like if this is your engagement, right? You can use this character, this NPC that the character was interested in, and you can twist it to actually pull people into the story and get them really, really engaged with it. And in that regard, I think it's a valuable tool and it can be used with discretion. But if it's just simply like people just want to screw around just because for the sake of screwing around, I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm on that team, but Marks.
Yeah.
So I've had a little bit of that. Not a whole lot on genre play, I don't think, but like
hopefully not with your nephew's game. I don't know.
No. They're like, ooh, that character's hot when I show them pictures and stuff. But yeah, I know like it's a Monster Week thing I was doing one time, for example, off the top of my head. I had I'm trying to think here. I think we're doing this mystery, all that stuff. I never planned on all this. Secondary characters were just secondary characters. I didn't know who was going to be, popular or not. Some never were used and stuff. And there's this one female deputy character that one of my guy friends' characters started flirting with a little bit. And then I thought, oh, that'd be interesting. And so then I let them tease that out a little bit. And then in the next chunk, they all like went on a vacation trip, and she was with them. And then I think probably his girlfriend was feeling a little left out, so she started having her character flirt with this other bartender guy who ended up being a Monster Hunter person. And then of course my wife was throwing in and it's like, "Ooh, this guy's handsome and stuff." He was a bad guy. They were all like playing around with stuff.
Why they always like the bad boys?
You're right. So it was fun to intermingle with those aspects. Never went very far or anything, and it would always, never went to fade to black. But it was just fun to play around with, those kind of dynamics with the characters and stuff. So
I've said this before. I think there's an unhealthy way to do it, which is if someone's playing vicariously because they can't do it in real life, so they do it in the game. You never want that kind of stuff. It's a little toxic when that happens. And because it leads to very bad emotions when things don't go their way. But the other side of it is basically, in my view, if you keep it intellectual, it's fine. Do whatever. Yeah. It's like I have it in my friend's game right now where he's running and I'm a player, and I got a madness that just made me flirt with everybody. It was kind of like a pirate type, like try to get, I don't know. Anyway, the point is I ended up getting caught into this one relationship because of that. And then after even I got cured, I was like, okay, we'll see. And you say like as a GM, you can use it, and that's true. But also as a player, you can use it because it depends what the NPC that you're flirting with, what they are, what they do, who they're a part of. But you can use that to your advantage as a player. Because as a player, you can go over to them and say, hey, can you do this? Can you talk to that? I see you're part of this group and I'm doing this. And there's a bit of a conflict. Maybe I convince you to help me against them. And who knows? There's a lot of interesting things that you can go about that. And that was ultimately, in this case, that was my thing. I was like, I'm kind of against this organization in some ways, but if I flirt with this person, it'll create interesting conflict on top of the fact that maybe I can get things from that organization. So
I actually did stuff like that in my RPG. And it was partially inspired by the fact that we have a character like that in the comic book. But there's a number of character perks you can get, or feats in the case of D&D, that specifically deal with that kind of stuff. And so like I put more social interaction components into the game as opposed to just strictly how well you can kill people. And there's even a section in the skill chapter on about like kind of deals with like research and seduction and getting like just kind of like peripheral topics, right? Like information gathering and how to get people on your side. And it talks about that because it's also kind of critical for certain character classes too, just because of the way, it's like, because I have some classes that are not combat focused, but like it talks about
kind
that.
Of the same thing.
But it's not, I mean, it talks about seduction, but like not from the necessarily the sexual side of it, but also from like, getting somebody to like side with you. Right. And so it just depends.
It doesn't tell you to have Riz.
Yeah, exactly. No. If they want to get all that,
this and you do Riz.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like there are plenty of RPGs already out there that get into this subject very heavily. I don't need to add to it. No. But there are like, not every RPG adventure is going to be combat focused. And in a lot of cases, there's many components that aren't. And I think it can be just as fun and compelling if you're doing a heist story, like in a movie, rather than just fight your way out of a problem, or fight your way into one. Right. And so, this is actually something that I specifically do address in my game and take some page real estate to cover it, because I think it's like important to give people options,
Yeah. It's the game Everyday Heroes, which is a 5e variant. They use that D20 modern mechanic of like, strong hero, tough hero, smart hero, charming hero. So there's one of those heroes has tons of charisma based special abilities. So I think that really adds a lot of, nice options and stuff. Mm-hmm. I think, one of the things, and when you write stories and stuff, even if it's the most actiony, over the top thing in the world, just throwing in a romance storyline, even if it's a subtle one, adds another layer, right? It's everybody knows love, or at least flirting, or something like that.
Yeah.
So we can respond to that, and I think it adds a little more depth to the story. And even if you're a guy and you're just like, yeah, romance sucks.
Well, there's an interesting part to that, Marks, though, what you're talking about there, because like on the subject of Alan Moore, right, famous author, very successful, like he certainly earned all of his accolades as a person on a personal level. Whatever, but like the thing is that he talks about, like, he has a lot of really good advice for writers just on the subject of writing, and it's worth taking. And one of the things he talks about, because like having sex occur in the Watchmen graphic novel was controversial, and to some respects it still is. And he talks about how
Alan Moore created Watchmen, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Yeah,
yeah. So he talks about, like, when you're dealing with these characters, if you have to, it works best to think of them as complete people, right, as opposed to just simply a heroic archetype that's out there fighting evil or whatever it is, right? But he talks about how, like, if you're talking about a complete person, then the person has to be complete in all the pluses and minuses, the flaws and everything, and that means there is a sexual aspect of these characters, right? And even if that's not necessarily part of the adventure game, right, like that is still something, it's still there regardless, right?
Subgenre or story thread. And it adds stakes, because when you have characters who build relationships or romances or deeper relationships with NPCs, then you can put them in danger, and you can do things to them. It's something they care about the world more, because they're not just some solo player avatar walking around this world. They got connections, relationships, and stuff of people that are going to be affected by whatever happens.
Well, I mean, these characters could potentially be married. They clearly have brothers, sisters, and parents. So it's, it's not like
now we have kids.
It's kind of like that joke in England where it's like, we have 3 children, so we've had sex 3 times. It's like, it's
Yeah. I would say, for advice for GMs with this, if you do this, don't make NPCs go up to people and just start doing the eyebrows, like right? Yeah. Like, it has to be something natural that occurs. It doesn't mean you can't have an NPC hit on a player, but don't make it so obvious. Like, let the player take the initiative with that, not the NPC. You never want the NPCs to take the initiative in anything social, in my opinion, usually. But also,
not maybe not flirting side, but maybe like,
the players are more likely to be invested in what they choose to participate in. That's the support to support what you're saying.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, there's obviously going to be story arcs and beats that you need an NPC to take initiative on something, right? But that's not what I mean. I mean, like, NPCs that interact with your players on the regular generally shouldn't be taking the initiative when it comes to pushing them to do something, right? It should be the other way around. They can kind of guide and give suggestions, but they shouldn't be the one doing it.
I disagree.
And the other is, what's that?
I disagree with that point, but we'll talk about that later. Yeah.
The other is, now I lost my shot. Oh yeah. The other is, like, in terms of when you fade to black, because you obviously don't want to get too explicit. It's not that type of game, unless you want to make it that type of game. Generally, my rule is it goes fade to black the moment, if it's a guy, I start feeling gay, or if it's a woman, I start feeling like I'm cheating on my wife. That's when it fades to black. So there's really not much more to it than that.
I just don't want to narrate a sex scene.
Yeah, I don't want to be a player sitting back there listening to the narrated sex scene.
Well,
based on what I said, if you're bi and single, you go all the way. So
well, on okay, so the game we're running on Saturday, the one where it's my pro GM gig. So we had at one point one of my players who's playing an orc. By the way, I want to go with that. He's an orc. Okay, so they're on a quest that was given them by a high priestess of a Cyclops civilization. And so she's a Cyclops and much bigger than him. I want to be clear on here. There's a big size difference, right? And so somewhere along the line, he forgot the size difference while on the quest, and then started having the party wizard use the magic pigeon spell to send love letters back to her, trying to woo her. So this has become an entire subplot.
And he likes plus-sized women,
Yeah, exactly. And so
it was like D&D movie.
let's just say the term hot dog hit down a hallway has become a common one at our table now. But but anyways, so yeah, you can bleep that out if you need to, Marks. But no, it's like it actually has kind of become like a whole plot point with this one.
Had a good time to bring up this? I don't know.
No,
Sorry.
not
We're
at all.
talking
But
about that, right?
no, yes, I am, of course, yeah, because they walked down the hall and it was so no, but and then actually, like, we, I thought I'd have a little fun with this, and I allowed him to, to seduce her, and then she was kind of up for it, and then of course they had to buy magic items, let them kind of meet in the middle, and like have size changing, all these things, and so, but it actually turned into like a massive plot point in the game. And so we've had our fade to black moments, and the guys kind of have a little fun with it and pick on him for this thing. But it and kind of my disagreement with you, Greg, in terms of like NPCs getting involved, like when you have these kinds of close relationships that develop where the players have to keep it coming back to particular NPCs they interact with, you do have this benefit where when you need to get them onto a quest, they kind of can't say no when it's coming from people that they have regular interactions with, because they either have some sort of a close bond in this case, or some, like, they want to make sure that their local shopkeeper that they get good deals from is protected, right? And so like there's and these people do develop an ability to ask for help, and it's very rare when the players will say no. And
I'm guessing that's
out of this.
Yeah. I'm guessing that presents itself more like they come with a problem and they're asking the player to help versus they come, they initiate a relationship. They're the ones who initiate the relationship. They're the ones who said, okay, follow me to do the quest, right? Like there's a difference between asking for help, which still gives the players the agency to say yes or no effectively, versus them coming and saying, by the way, we're going to go do this now. That's what I mean. Like you shouldn't have them be like the second part.
But it depends on the nature of the plot and the relationship, right? Like it's one of those things that it can go that way, and it can go there, and it'll be totally fine. It's just simply there has to be an organicness to it, right? And like we actually had one of the situations where one of the players had,
I guess it's like military,
well, because one of our players had the genie curse on him, and they had a dark god that they had rescued from prison. He was temporarily traveling with the party, and he ends up getting trapped. And the way that the text of this curse would be is like, if you're rescued, then you have to give 3 wishes. Well, all of a sudden, he's screwed, and she's like, do you want me to rescue you? Yes, please, get me out of this thing. And so he's like, okay, cool. Now I get 3 wishes. And now I have a minion, is essentially what she's actually saying. And the rest of the party was just immediately like cheering for well, it was kind of just accident how it worked out, but they like were immediately hooting and hollering about how cleverly I had trapped him like that. And it was just, not as clever as they thought, but it was, like that evolved organically because like the player made the mistake. He forgot the situation he was in, and in that moment, and then now he is in that situation where the NPC can tell him what to do. And it, again, like this is the mileage you can get out of these relationships sometimes.
Yeah.
And
I still wouldn't say make that the norm, because you want them to have the most agency in general.
Right. But you also have the issue where if you do have, like, it depends on the player, right? Like this also kind of deviates into disruptive player territory. And if you've got a person who's kind of an ass, or is just stupid and thinks he's going to hit on every girl, well, he's lining up your fastballs, man. Like he's just giving you something.
Girls can be cursed too.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you got a guy who's just stupid or being like just trouble, he's lining up fastballs. Just hit him out of the park, because he's asking for it. I say give him everything he's asking for.
A woman in a tavern could be a thief, and when he wakes up, all his stuff's stolen.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And then they want their shit back, and then they're going to go chase her down.
Yeah.
Only to discover she was actually a guy shapeshifted into a woman, and then suddenly it's
that's a giant
you
cyclone.
Never know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
In the world of alter self, you can never be sure.
Yep.
Yeah. So what we're saying is it's okay to do, but know your group. Know if they're going to be uncomfortable. Read the room. Especially read like significant others and stuff, so people aren't getting jealous or anything weird going on.
And that's what I was saying. Don't, if you have NPCs hitting on players, do it subtly. Don't give them the opportunity to do it if they want, but don't try to have them go and like like grab them or something.
I think it has to be earned.
Grab them and smooch you.
Yeah.
Well, no, I think it works, but it works in like you have to have the groundwork has to be laid for it, and I think there has to be a previous relationship already there with the characters. It wouldn't come out of the blue. You know, you gotta put the work in.
Unless you're a bard.
Out of the blue is weird.
Yeah,
and players should learn that out of the blue when they do it is also weird.
Yeah. And one thing I do, if I do feel a little weird about it, besides fading to black, you know, whenever it gets awkward or something, is I might switch to more of a third person speech and stuff like that to give a little bit more removal or something if it feels off. So
that's a good idea.
Well, we should probably address that very point though, like before we let this one go, because it kind of goes into the question of like sex at the table or not, right? And I think that. Well, it can be it's awkward, but like but I'm thinking is like I don't think that as a GM, just because the players may be into it, I don't think that you're under any obligation to actually have sex scenes in the game. I think like we call the fade to black moment. I've used that term myself. Like this guy he's having a lot of fun, you know, playing this role because he's an actor and he's really getting into every character. And I'm not just talking about Michael, I'm talking about my guy too. But like, you know, like some of these actor types really get into the role and they really bite onto it. And it's like for them, it's just simply I'm playing a character, right? Mm-hmm. And they don't care how deep they go, right? And you know, Greg had two of those guys, right? And, you know, and his, and you know, like, and so it's like. You just because somebody wants to explore that aspect of a character, you under GM are under no obligation to do the same thing. You know, but you can just say fade to black and call it good. You know,
But as I said, make sure they're not doing it because they're just living their own life in your game. That's where problems can come, right? You want them to actually be playing the character when they do it.
Yeah.
They're the player is a wingman for their character.
I had a situation. Oh, actually, wait, I've been talking too much, Mark. Did you want to jump in with anything? So, because I want to close it with a fun story that might give GMs an insight into how to solve the problem too.
Yeah, I would just say, you know,
marriage.
What?
Yeah, exactly.
That's how you solve the problem.
Yeah.
You put a ring on it.
You put a ring on it. Yeah, what's that new song? Where's my husband? I've been hearing it.
I only know hide your wife.
Okay.
Hide your wife, hide your husband.
I am way behind on modern music, apparently.
But yeah. So don't be afraid to do it if the players would like to. Just beware of, just like any problem player, that they're not hogging the spotlight or doing something.
Yeah.
Maybe don't remember they're playing a game, a dungeon, or whatever game you're playing. There's a goal besides relationships, probably, unless you're playing something. There are a few games out there that are more
to that point. Keep in mind that when someone flirts with someone else, there is no reason that you can't enter the scene as well. Because again, it's not the player who's flirting, it's their character, right? Yeah. So you can enter their little scene where they're flirting to do something funny yourself, you know? Like act like you're listening in and then fall out of a chair in front of them or something, you know?
Yeah. You mean like another player?
Make it fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, like another player. Yeah.
I was hi, I'm Greg. I'm suddenly in the game.
I would say don't do this at a convention game.
No.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. If this is going to happen, it should only.
Oh, you mean flirting in general? Yeah, probably not.
Yeah.
No.
And it's also like, you know, like if you're a GM, you also should keep that professional distance. If you want to hook up with another player, maybe do it outside of the game. Like it's.
Oh yeah.
Don't abuse it and use it to flirt with someone either.
Yeah. So. That should have been the first thing we talked about. Yeah. Like abusing this is going to piss off your players. I will tell you that right now.
Yeah. Don't do that. It creates awkward scenarios, and you know.
Yeah,
you can do. There's a.
In general, don't hit on anyone in the game because you're trying to hit on them in real life. It's a bad thing to do.
Yeah,
it's going to lead bad.
Yeah,
that's a good reason. Also, like you said, Greg, to have the players initiate it rather than NPC. So then you're kind of following their lead, basically.
Yeah.
So you don't overstep. There's a game. There's an actual play. I'm going to speak a little bit out of without a bunch of knowledge, but the guy, I believe he co-created maybe Dungeon World or something. He got in big trouble, backlash online, because they were playing. He was doing this actual play series, and he did something where he basically forced this character, I don't know if she was a cyborg or an android or something, to have a climaxing moment of the blue. And yeah. And she did not like that. It was very uncomfortable. And then the players were awkward. And then of course, and then when there was backlash online, all the players turned on him and stuff.
Yeah,
And so that was out across the line.
rightfully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let the players initiate it. When it comes to that, you improv based on what they're giving you. If they feel uncomfortable, you pull back. You know, it's just let them do that, and then you can also endanger those characters later and kill them off, make them, their players go for revenge.
Well, so we're getting towards our end, like we have to cut it. So I wanted to mention something that I feel like I might have told this already once before, but I think it's relevant. It's worth covering. So I had one of these players years ago who was like, believed he could get with anybody. Like there was no woman he couldn't get, right? So of course he does this in the game, and we're all like, haha, funny, whatever.
Persuasion check, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's we were playing Palladium. They didn't have like as sophisticated rules for that as like D&D does now, where it's more like it was role playing as opposed to skill checks, right? There was a little bit you could do.
Don't
but
they have like an appearance or something?
Well, they do, but it's like the thing is that it's D&D. It's more baked into the game mechanics than it is in modern gaming than it has been in the past, right? And so it generally is more of a role playing exercise, right, for Palladium. But what he decided to do was he was trying to seduce the barmaid. He did it in literally the most awkward way you can imagine, with like impromptu singing to her, getting the party bard to perform some music, and he was just making some BS up on top of his head, and it was really dumb. But I'm like, okay, this is what you want to do? Let's play. So I had her completely eat out of his hand. Like she's totally down, right? And he's like, yeah. So he shows up to her room later wearing just a pair of boots, a cloak, tastefully wrapped around himself, and carrying the flute that the bard had. You can imagine what he was going to do with that. But then he shows up to find her murdered. So he's in the room. She's dead. Because, of course, like he's just making it too easy, right? Like you line up those fastballs, right? So she's dead. Then somebody shows up and sees this, and he's like, oh shit, what am I going to do? Then he leaps out the window and goes running around the building to go find the rest of the party to get help. Totally forgetting he's buck-ass naked. So he's so that was fun. Anyways, so that turns into a whole murder mystery thing, and then they all get it all figured out ultimately. But it's like, when you pull a stunt like that, he never hit on a single girl for the rest of the campaign. so that kind of nipped that one in the bud quite successfully.
This guy got scars.
Yeah, it won't happen. Yeah, it won't work in everybody. Some people just
don't hit on an NPC in Woody's game. That's the moral of the story. Just kill him.
It depends, right?
And make you butt naked, run around a city. In the process.
Oh no, so we had just watched the Mystery Men. So one of the guys is like, "You might want to put some clothes on if you want to do some fantasy gaming today." And he's like, "We talked about him. I've got clothes. No, you don't." And I said, "No, you don't." And he's like, "Oh, right." He just does this. He goes, "Guys, girls been murdered. I need your help." He goes like this, and then puts his head off the side, just posing. And the guy was pretty funny. But anyways, yeah. So it's like, well, it's not that it's something I do on the regular. It's just, this is a way that you can resolve these things. Like if you got a guy doing that, take advantage of it. He's like make it part of the plot. Screw him over for it. Like make him, make him work for it. Make him, make it bite him in the butt. Like, like it's
just
it's,
think about like in TV shows and movies when people get in relationships or characters flirt and stuff. There's things dramatically occur. They don't just it's like in Joss or like Buffy and stuff. If two characters are happy together, it means one of them's probably going to die. So you don't, you play with the drama of that and then have fun with it. So
yeah. No, it's an opportunity. Take advantage of it. I know you guys think like want to pick on me for this one, but literally you got players like that. Just give them a rope; they hang themselves eventually. They are a tool of the plot when they're doing these things. Most of what will create the most engaging plots is by taking what the players are already doing and twisting it against them, and they're going to be that much more engaged because it's their thing that's now driving the plot and
twisting it for them, like doing both. gets engagement. I would say.
Yeah, exactly. And you're taking what they've done and using it to build this. Not always just trying to get to it, building the plot around it and using it as the main focus.
Mhm.
Like, what can they do? They're the ones that did it. They can't get mad at you for it.
Yeah. But yeah, both positive and negative things can come out of it. I would just roll with it and see how it works and just play around with it. So, like when I mentioned at Monster of the Week, I was kind of surprised that happened because that person really never role played much. So I thought it was just hilarious that they were going to go along with it. I thought it would make them feel awkward. And then, of course, then everybody else started like, oh, my character was getting really because I had all these NPCs running around.
Yeah.
So,
like, oops.
I go look for an NPC.
that
What's the first one I see?
Yeah. So, but it was funny because then, one turns out being evil. Then I just play around with it and it puts some of the other ones in danger and stuff. And then they're kind of like, oh no, I must help save this person. So it just builds up some fun story layers. The NPCs that really start off as just a name and a couple of basic lines, and they can develop more. So,
well, the NPCs that make it are the ones that survive. And the ones that the players get interested in engaging with, and you don't know. There's no way. You don't want to waste time on these stat blocks until you know.
Yeah. We'll probably talk about that later. Actually, I think
we just might.
More about NPCs.
We just might. Okay, so I think we got an episode, guys.
I think so.
We're at 31 minutes.
All righty, cool. I hope everybody enjoyed it. Found some useful. Do you ever have any flirting in your game? Are you like no flirting, or you play around with that? Do you have funny stories? Do you have some bad stories that came out of it? Let us know in the comments. We make it a conversation. So we'd love to hear from you guys.
Stories.
Yes. So thanks everybody for watching. Until next time.
Keep flirting.
Cue the same song.
When the dice roll high, we touch the sky. But when they